Hello, everyone. Let me just share screen. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Youngpei Choi. I'm the VP of Programs for the Irvington High School PTSA. We are now at part 6 of the career series. Um, and this one is on business careers. So we have some uh, great wealth of experience on our panel today. So I know a lot of people like to talk about schools. So this is a list that I've pulled from the US News World Report, best undergrad schools for business for this year, 2023, 2024. And as you can just go down the list, you see, there are probably more on the list. I just put the top ones. And some of them have a in-state or out-of-state cost for their school. And then as we talk about that, what are the best graduate schools for business? So here is this list for if you decide to go further and get an MBA. And this is also from the US News and World Report. Okay, areas to study when you go into business, studying business. And those are considered the functional areas of business. You could be studying management, operations, marketing, or sales, finance, research, and development. Yeah, and then as our speakers talk, they could probably share what kind of area that they are in. Job titles in the business industry. And this can be from anywhere from corporate or maybe a small company that you started. So there's a lot of different titles here, and each one has a different role in the business. And on the bottom, this is where I pulled this information from. How to start your own business. I know some people are into entrepreneurship. So this is a basic list of how to start a business, pulled from SBA.gov, which is Small Business Administration, on how to go into starting your own business. And that's not for everyone, but some people may choose to want to do that. Okay, counselors at Irvington that you can maybe email for more information, especially if you're looking for transcripts for schools that you need to apply for business schools or so, by your last name, by your child's last name. And our okay, what's going on? Okay. And our college and career specialist at Irvington, Bindu Chopla. Okay, she has a office located on the other side of the library that kids can go during flex or lunchtime, or even before after school, to ask her for more information. And actually, she also sets up some Zoom meetings or so at the beginning of the year for with different admissions counselors at colleges. So you could direct information, any information, ask her. So let's talk about our speakers and meet our speakers. Okay. So Frank Shea's operations management executive and entrepreneur. He's got a BBA from Hofstra University, an MBA from UC Irvine, and he's a founder owner of a couple of companies: Thicopac Corp, Apogee Containers, Industry Hoses and Fasteners, and Hokkaido Seafood Buffet. His past experience, before finding all those, he's worked at Centron Electronics and TDK Electronics Corp. Shalini Khanna, she's a franchise owner and manager of Uno Mas in San Jose. And she's been doing that for 20 years plus. She has a BSc in chemistry and MSc in organic chemistry, MBA from LBSIM in New Delhi, India. And then when she came, she worked as a technical recruiter before deciding to enter franchise business. Alex Shu is president at Wagon Corp, which is a family business. He's got a BA in history from UCLA, and he's an MBA from Pepperdine University. The name of that school is the George Graziato School of Business and Management. And before he became president at Wagon, which is a family business, he has held many various positions, and he can go into more detail about that. And then we have Eileen Lowe, Director of Revenue Accounting and Operations at a private SaaS company. And when she talks, she can probably explain to you what is SaaS mean. She's got a BA in hospitality management from Florida International University, MBA in accounting and finance from Cal State East Bay. She's got 15 plus years of accounting experience in both private and public companies. Okay, so now we will open the floor now to our speakers, and I'll just let them go whichever order. Would somebody like to volunteer to go first?
First. I could go
Okay.
first if nobody
Okay.
wants to.
All right.
Okay. Okay, yeah, my name's Frank Shea. I guess my schooling, I guess you saw earlier. I have a bachelor's in business at Hofstra, and then I had an MBA while I was working full time at TDK. That was the first company I worked for, and they gave me a program where I had to relocate to California from the East Coast. And so part of my package was to get a master's of business at the same time to focus on operations management. And that's where I got my manufacturing and operations background and combined it with business. So, and basically my whole life, I've always been kind of an entrepreneur, ever since I was very young. So I had that kind of in my blood, so to speak. And now that I've gone through many years of working for corporations as well as opening my own businesses, I realize that it's not for everyone. There's there's certain people that are just born with that kind of ambition or drive to want to go through hell, uh, which is which is very, very unique, and at the same time is very rewarding and could be very detrimental at the same time. So I'm glad I'm able to provide a viewpoint so that people can understand what they're getting into if they want to open their own businesses, whether it be small or, or large. Um, and and a commitment, you're basically 24/7. You know how if you're working for a company, and I've done that, I go to work at maybe 7, 8 in the morning, and I go home at 6 o'clock. But having your own business, you're basically not ever stop working. You're always thinking about all the problems that you have during the day. Um, Also, the future problems that you might have, whether it's HR related, sales related, operations related. It basically falls on the owner of the business. And so basically, it's kind of a 24/7 uh, job. And, that's pretty much all I have so far. I could go into a lot more details, but I kind of want to wait for people that have specific questions. But yeah, I've opened manufacturing plants in the West Coast. And those are the biggest businesses that I've opened from scratch in the plastics industry. Um, I was focused on because I was in electronics before, and I understand the cycle of electronics and memory module upgrades, and computers and peripherals, and I just knew how fast that market rolled. So I wanted to get into high volume and low tech, and that was plastics. Um, so we got into plastics manufacturing of plastic bottles and also to decorate those plastic bottles. So there's obviously a very high volume business and low technology, so to speak, but there's a lot of operations involved. And that's pretty much it. I think that's about 6, 7 minutes.
Thank you, Frank. And like you heard Frank said, he will answer more specific questions later in the Q&A. Okay, Alex, did you say you want to go next?
Sure, unless somebody else wants to go, I can go. All right. So if there's something that you should take away from what I shared tonight, I'll just read off my notes, is that everything that you do in life will be tied to business. Some of you will be CEOs, some of you will start businesses, some of you will create some amazing products and market them to the world. As Young Pei said, my journey into my family business is both atypical and a logical path for me. My parents started Wagon Tech about 40 years ago as an immigrant dream to build a better life for our family. It was an immigrant story of a family with 2 suitcases and a dream. Wagon Tech is a company focused on power conversion, solar powered lighting, and with the goal of making your life better on the road and beyond. Our products are sold through major online and also brick and mortar retailers, and also installed in many commercial applications. So the same products are also used to power many rural villages in Mexico and Latin America. Our solar lighting products light up parking lots, ranches, and even schools in remote areas where power is unreliable. This all started with an immigrant dream to build a better life. Little did we know that through our company, we've been able to build better lives for many other people around the world. I grew up in Fremont, went to Mission San Jose and UCLA for history and Pepperdine for my executive MBA. I started working at Wagon Tech a couple years after college when my parents needed some help with their website. I'd done some design work for a bunch of Hollywood movies during college, and I enjoyed it and was really good at it. After building the company website from scratch, I was eventually promoted to working from the bottom as a warehouse worker and then as a sales assistant. One day, my dad approached me and asked if I really wanted to work for him or go my own path. He never put pressure on me, but I knew I liked cars, the automotive industry, working with customers, and creating new products along the way. So I said yes. Eventually, I worked my way up to sales manager and then leading a team. Over the years, both by my parents' leadership and opportunities that I was exposed to, I've been able to learn how to take a great product idea and work with factories and supply chain and bring it to market. What's even more exciting is that over the past several years, we've had intimate connection with our fans and users and developed real relationships while marketing to them. As a business owner, I enjoy getting my hands dirty because those are the areas where I learn the most about our customers and their needs. That further allows me to see the gaps to develop even better products in the future. Has it been an easy path? If anybody tells you their career path has been straight and easy, they're lying. But you learn and grow from your experiences, failures, and triumphs. Like a muscle, you grow when you're stretched, you get stronger in the process. As an owner and CEO of a business, my role allows me to go from strategic, let's say 30,000 feet, down to the day-to-day of interfacing with customers big and small, let's say 10,000 feet. I find all these valuable in my regular decision-making process. Sometimes you get great feedback and sometimes you get hard feedback, but all of those help in how to better ourselves in our organization. On the whole, my role has been less transactional activities and more in how to help the team accomplish the goals we set forth. Whatever career that path that you're thinking about pursuing, know that business skills will be the glue that ties everything together. Everything we do will be tied to business. Whether you want to start a business making jewelry, coming up with the next cure for the next deadly disease, or running a nonprofit. At the end of the day, all types of organization will require business skills to make them successful. If you're aspiring to be in business or anything for that matter, My suggestion is to surround yourself with smarter people than yourself. Jim Rohn famously said, "We are the average of the 5 people we spend time with." And I find it so true. Another advice is use your resources. There's so many online resources that we have access to: TED Talks, YouTube, business channels, and even great business podcasts. And lastly, don't be afraid to fail, and don't be afraid of people saying no. The worst case is that you brush yourself off, learn something, and do it better next time. As an aside, to think about, did you know that James that of Dyson vacuums made 5,000 prototypes commercially available vacuum? So perseverance, I would say, is probably the biggest and strongest trait it takes for running a business. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Alex. Eileen or Shalini want to go next?
I can go next. Hey everyone, nice of you to join here. I am. My name is Eileen. I work as the director of revenue accounting and operations in a SaaS software company. So SaaS stands for software as a service, and the company sells software to our customers. I concentrate and focus on revenue accounting. Accounting, my bachelor degree was actually in hospitality management. So I worked a few years in hotel management and found it fun, got to travel a bit of the world and see, to different countries. And then I realized I wanted to a more challenging career where instead of just customer service and operations, that's why it led me to my MBA, to pursue my MBA in accounting and finance. I've always had a fascination with making money and how companies make money. So that's after my master's degree in accounting, actually in Cal State East Bay, here in local university. I joined BDO, a public accounting firm, did public accounting auditing with them. So public auditing or accounting are, as an auditor, we go to different companies and audit their financial statements and accounts. So after a couple of years of that, I transitioned to the industry. I worked at private and public companies initially in the general accounting departments, recording expenses. So accounting there's many focuses that you can go into. So there's like revenue, if you can concentrate on the general ledgers, you can go into financial planning, et cetera, et cetera. So there's, you can just focus wherever your interests leads you. So my interest led me to revenue accounting. I liked the concept of, contracting with customer, how customers buy and contract with the companies, the various companies. So my day-to-day now is actually just working with the sales teams in structuring contracts and so sales try to sell our products, and they, based on the customer's requests, there's always, customers have specific requests, but the company has certain guidelines and standards that they are trying to negotiate. So in that process, we need to make sure that it's in compliant to GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. So there are rules that govern accounting, and we need to make sure that it's in compliance to that. And aside from the nitty-gritty accounting side, on the operation side, I manage the billing and order management team we do collections, basically just calling customers, say, hey, where's our money if you purchased products from us. And again, crafting and making sure the orders are recorded properly and correctly in the system, because it flows down, but based on whatever the transactions that you are recording, it needs to be correct. If there's a mistake in accounting, we might be, there could be repercussions in audits. And then stakeholders in public companies, if there's material mistakes in your financial statement, it's a huge hit to their stock or the reputation of the company. So it's pretty significant in adhering to these rules and guidances and compliances. Some challenges that I face in my journey and my career, figuring out what you want to do, what you like, that's part of it. And then the day-to-day issues that comes up when you are working, whether it's a system issue that is impacting, causing mistakes within your financials, and you have to quickly research and find the issue and fix that, to manage, or working with different teams who are in different time zones and have different personalities or different goals within even the department goals, and then working towards the same, reaching the consensus. And then I think one other thing that for accounting, we working in the industry, the commitment to the job is so far, public companies are more demanding and private companies are a bit more relaxed, but you still have these cycles. Accounting closes every month. We have to close the books, make sure the transactions are reported properly, and the financials are provided to the stakeholders, management, and stockholders, et cetera, quarterly if it's public, and then annual statements. If it's not during close time is pretty intense. So you would have to work more hours. So I can't really take vacation at month end or at the beginning of the month. I have to work around the schedule based on peak times of the month in accounting close. And outside of that, it's fine. I mean, it's a stable job, so I'm liking it so far. What I would recommend is to do your research, as some of the panelists already mentioned. There's lots of resources out there. We are pretty lucky with the information age, and with sessions that like Yongpei and the schools put on. You really should take advantage of all these things to do your research in what you want to do, because once you choose a career path, you can always pivot and change. Like myself, I did do that, but at the end of the day, you would want to land at somewhere that you would be happy and content to be working in the next 20, 30, 40 years. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen. Shalini, you're up next. You're on mute.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right. So I just wanted to kind of go ahead and share my journey of like an immigrant coming to this country with like the first generation immigrant opening her own business. And I'm a wife of an engineer, a daughter of an engineer, and a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter of an engineer. So, nobody in my whole family ever has gone into business. So I totally agree with Frank that entrepreneurs are different. Different in a way that we tend to take up the challenges and we just don't give up, because it does take a lot of commitment of even if you have, I'm a small business owner, but it is the commitment which keeps you going, because it is actually your baby, your babe, and the fact that even if you're on vacation, I'm in the hospitality industry, even if I'm on vacation, a part of me is always there inside this country, like even because we are all connected, and And I'm still checking the reviews. I'm still making sure, things are being ordered on time. So you really can't switch off. Like if you're a business owner, you are taking vacations, but a part of you is always involved. I think, Frank, you will agree with me, like it is something which is like a part of us, right? Like it is our businesses. So do you?
Yeah, it's nothing that you can imagine until
Right.
you actually do it.
Correct. So the other thing which I would like to kind of tell is the only change in business is change itself. You should always be willing to start all over again. Like in the sense when COVID hit, I kind of started all over again because, I was totally dependent on lunch business, on corporate catering, and then you still, if you have to keep going, you have to learn to adapt. You have to learn to change, even if it's a small business like a restaurant. So I think, Frank, do you want to add on to it? Like, do you think that's true? Like adaptability and change is very
Well,
common in business?
Well, when I started with the opening my first manufacturing plant, I mean, there were so many variables that you can't pinpoint. So, like you're saying that you have engineers in your family, I could say that engineers probably won't get into certain type of businesses like entrepreneurship, like opening a manufacturing plant, because there's so many unknowns.
Right.
And then you're going all in. So imagine going all in, taking all your life savings, whether it be $250,000, $500,000,
Yep.
or $1 million,
Mhm.
and you invest into the business where you only know 25% of all the information.
Correct.
And
So
it's kind of insane for somebody to do that. And only entrepreneurs are willing to do that, which is,
yes.
I look back on my life, I have one brother, I have one sibling, and he graduated Carnegie Mellon and worked at his first job at Anderson Consulting, which turned into Accenture, and he's still there 35
Right.
years later, and he's a partner.
You're right.
So my mom says, your brother went working for corporate America for 35 years for one company. I went and opened like 5 different companies.
Yep.
And I'm on a roller coaster ride, and he's
Right.
kind of like just coasting.
Yes.
So now I'm thinking like maybe it wasn't such a great idea to go through entrepreneurship, but there are some winning moments that I could have, that I have kind of boasted with my brother and said, "Hey, I made more money than you in 1 month than you made in a whole year."
Right.
And there's going to be spot times where you're super successful, and there's other times where it's like feast or famine. You're not making anything for the first 5 years when you open a business.
Right.
So those are the kind of things I want to share with these prospective entrepreneurs or business people, is that, it's a roller coaster.
Right. That's exactly what I wanted to share. You have to do your due diligence, because if you're going in with all your life savings into something, well, I mean, even a small restaurant like mine is $250,000 investment, because there is equipment, there is, 101 more things. There is the franchise fees. I'm a franchise. The system supposedly is all there, but we still reinvent. Everybody deals with it differently. Like, the recipe, it's like the cook would give its own special tinges. So I definitely would recommend you have to shadow. If it is business, you have to know what you're getting into, because you might not get a second chance. So
I have to say, a lot of times you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
yes.
It's more like you're taking a chance. You're rolling the dice, and then if you're lucky, and if everything falls into place for you, and as things progress, you actually create solutions to the problems that you have properly at the right time.
Right.
Then you're like super successful. Whereas maybe the other 80% of the people that gone down the same path as you have failed. And
Right.
that's why they always say that's, new startups and new businesses, 80% of them fail.
So
therefore,
right. A fun fact, restaurant industry, 90% of them fail in the first year. And, like that, and many people still want to have a restaurant, right? So the point is that definitely I believe that entrepreneurs are a different league. You know, we are made to lead, or we are made to just have our own business. Even if there are sometimes there is like, it's a roller coaster ride, but I don't think we would be doing anything different. I think we
Right.
all would be doing the same thing what we are doing right now, in spite of no vacation, but we are used to being in the fast track. That's what I feel. You know, used to being various hats, used to being part of an organization where you meet 100 people. I mean, 100 people used to be my lunch sometimes. So I used to be meeting almost like 50, 60 new people every day, like strangers, right? And it is, those are the little things which also sometimes give you the kick of life, you know, like, okay, like we can kind of deal with many problems at the same time. And so I would suggest that, yeah, and plus the question about whether you need a business degree, I did not have any undergrad, so I can't tell you, but the postgrad definitely helped me, because the concepts, like the concepts of cash flow, the concepts of having a profit and loss statement, you know, like looking into accounting, you know, whether you're doing accrual basis or what kind of degree, like you need to have the basic concepts. I don't know whether you're going to go all in with the degree, but at least have the basic subjects all cleared up. So, I mean, like looking at all those things, I think you should definitely get some kind of knowledge about business. Again, I agree, business is something which is not just related to business owners. If you want to get into business, you really need to have very good people skills, because if you're in any kind of business, you will be dealing with people. So if anything you want to brush up on is definitely the fundamentals of how to open a business. The list is right there. There are so many resources. Plus, you need to be evolving every day. If that is something you like, business is the thing for you. You know, every day taking new challenges, because there is no business like food industry. I mean, people think restaurant is what, like you make every day the same thing, but it still changes. Like DoorDash came in the equation, and the whole equation changed, right? So things keep changing. So if you're in business, you have to keep evolving. That is what I feel. And coming from a first generation entrepreneur, I would say that, if it's your baby, you will make it. It will be, if you just keep trying, you will make it. It is something like, you will find a solution. It might take longer than others. Like you might not be, like some get more success. Of course, you don't have a turnover of multi-million dollars, but you will find a way. But it is something which you really need to be passionate about. That's what I feel.
Well,
So,
I think the education really inspired me to have a little bit wider knowledge about business, and also
right.
help me give me the drive to be able to do something more than just be a
Right.
VP or a director of a corporation.
Like
So
I went into business because I did not want to be in front of a computer. Like honestly, yeah, like in the Valley, being an Indian, it was like, okay, just be in front of the computer. I went to business and like, I really can't be in front of a screen for 8 hours, right? Plus I wanted to pick up my kids from school. So work only 4 hours and the rest should be done remotely. The challenges were always there, but there has to be something which you have to be passionate about, right? So you have to find your niche, and if you're passionate about it, do your due diligence. Go shadow people, go look into things, what makes or breaks the industry. And I'm pretty sure people will let you go look into your life, like for a week, volunteer with the same industry. That's my suggestion. But yeah, have the stepping stones, have the education to know what you're getting into. So that's my take.
Thanks, Shalini.
Okay.
I think since all our speakers have spoken, we'll move over into Q&A. So if you have any questions for our speakers, I know there was one that came up in chat, and I'll get to that. You could either type it in chat, or you can raise your hand with raise your hand option. Okay, so let me first put all our speakers on the screen so you can see them. And then I'm going to start first with the chat, the one in the chat. It was actually directed to Alex. They said, this person said, as you chose history in UCLA, what kind of career path did you plan with that? And did being a history major really help in your business career?
Great question. So originally I thought I might go into law or somewhere in the education path. But I think going through that process, I realized that, you know what, law is probably not for me. And I wanted to be far, far away from that career path. However, and I get this question a lot actually, that the beauty about history is you know people, you know how people think, you know basically what makes them tick. And for me as a business owner, you know, because we do business, you know, not just in the US, but around the world too, I'm able to better understand and empathize a little bit, kind of where they're coming from and their cultural backgrounds. And so that helps me in my decision making too. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, if you have any questions for any of our speakers or just a general that you would like all of them touch upon, you can type in the chat, or you can press the raise hand button on the bottom. And while there people are thinking, maybe I did want to ask if there's any extracurricular activities you think that the students should maybe go for right now to steer them in the career path of business.
I really like Shalini's recommendation is to shadow or maybe intern, you know, at something, you know, it's just a summer, a couple of weeks here and there,
Yeah.
just to taste kind of what people do that you might be interested in. You know, I think being in Silicon Valley, we have so many touch points with people around us. So try something new, you know, even if it's just a week. Maybe paid, maybe unpaid, maybe, you know, whatnot, right? But learn something new. I'm a, you know, big believer in asking the questions of people who are in the industry. My niece, actually, we were talking about this earlier. She said, "Oh, how do you get to know people? You know, how do you, you know, how do you learn from people smarter than you?" I was like, well, actually, online, if you're on social media, if you're on Instagram, TikTok, just ask the question. At the end of the day, that person, that maybe that super famous person that you admire, they're actually human on the other side. They might actually reply to you and, you know, maybe set you up with some resources. So don't be shy about doing some stuff like that. Yeah, and, you know, surround yourself with good people.
I also agree 100%. Your net worth is your network. So, you know, like surround yourself with people who you can learn from. And asking questions is not a bad idea. I mean, even if it is for like a week or 2 weeks, you will find a person who you want to shadow. If you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a professor, you can always go ahead and interview people or just talk to them. Just go ahead and find out if they have some half an hour, or and then if you can find a week with them, I'm sure there will be a lot of learning there, because at least you will know what is their schedule looks nice, how many hours they need to put in it. And I mean, I feel that you can definitely make a lot of ideas by just talking to people. You can get a lot of, and maybe you will not make the same mistakes, because it's all about not repeating the same mistake again. We all will make mistakes, but just don't repeat the same mistake again.
Yeah, it's funny that you'll bump into people that you least expect will lead you to an opportunity to start your own business.
Yep.
So my first business I opened is from an idea that came about by asking questions, just like Alex was saying, of a room that I rented out of my first house I bought to this young guy that just graduated from college, and he started working for the biggest blow molder in the West Coast. And I just started asking him questions like, "What do you do?" Because I was never in plastics before. I was in electronics. I was in computers, and asking one question after another. And he was a a scheduler, a planner for bottles and manufacturing of plastic bottles for all the big cosmetic companies in the world. Um, they're making billions of bottles a year, and they had to get bottles decorated. And I said, well, how'd you do that? Well, we have our own internal department that decorates like millions of bottles a month, but we also outsource some of it that we can't handle, and they outsource it to like 2 or 3 companies outside. And so how it turns out is that I opened a company that he was supporting, is sending me business, and that's how it started. So basically, what I'm saying is that you never know who you're going to talk to or ask questions about that will be eventually your first business, and potentially be your customer as well, which is something that you will never know if you never ask questions, or you never be more on the social side to be able to kind of like look for the opportunities. I mean, a lot of people ask, how did you start? How do you get your business started? Well, first of all, you need to save money. Okay. You need to save money and have to have some kind of war chest. So when that opportunity comes, you have money, because nobody's going to lend you money for potentially a startup business that probably has a good chance of failing. So you have to have your own money. You have to open yourself up to you know uh, to opportunities from your network, from people that you just meet on a day-to-day basis, even people that are tenants in your home. you know and when that opportunity comes, you have to kind of ask all the right questions, and then trying to make that business, or try to create that opportunity into your business. A lot of times they're like, well, how do you do something where well, a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, right? You have no idea what you're going to get into unless you get into it. And there's so many opportunities that people kind of reject because, oh, I've never been in that field. Whereas business, it doesn't matter what kind of widget I'm making, as long as I'm making a lot of them and they're profitable. That's all I really care about. I could be making plastic bottles one day, or I could be making laptops another day. Okay, so it really doesn't matter, as far as I'm concerned, from an entrepreneur, what kind of products you're making, as long as you kind of know the channels of getting it together and organizing and creating the opportunity, and bringing in the right engineers, the mechanics, the HR people, the employees, to be able to structure and create that business. I guess that's the hardest part. Is an entrepreneur, a business person, has to know all of those things and be able to create the organization to be able to flourish in the future.
Anything else you guys want to add? Like, I'll launch into, you're talking more of what skills people should have, right? Is there anything else you think?
I mean, definitely people skills, definitely an open mind, like talking, like as Frank said, like there might be an opportunity in many things. You just need to catch that opportunity at the right time. So plus having the skill to overcome challenges. You will fall down, especially in your own business. There would be some customers who would always, there would be some negative feedback many times. You need to take it in your stride. You need to kind of be able to get up. So so people skills, plus the fact that you should be able to take up challenges quickly, like fast thinking, I think. So those are the skills which which a person should have if you want to get into your business. Because business is not easy. Business is not something which is something like, I had this idea, I'm going to go and I'm going to just, oversight things and things will get done. No, you have to manage people. There is nothing like, you feel that you would just tell people and people would know what to do, right? But I think it is very important to make sure that you should know every part of your organization well to kind of be able to lead, no matter how small the organization might be or big.
I would say my advice for high school students, and this is, I'm thinking back to some of the now very successful business people that I grew up with as a kid. Start something now. I would say just try something now. Just try a product, pitch it to friends, and try something now. I think that's the beauty of the internet right now, is to start a business, informal, or just start creating something new. It's so accessible now, and to be able to market it to people. I mean, you hear the stories all the time. Yeah, the tools are in front of you. Try something new right now in high school to just create something and try to market it. I think this is a great place to start. You're under the shelter of your family, and you've got nothing to lose right now. You need maybe $50 seed money, and try something. Try to pitch the product to your friends. Try there.
We have a question in the chat. It says, what are your respective hiring philosophies for employment? Shilpa, did I say that right? Is that exactly how you want to phrase the question?
Can you repeat that question? I didn't get that.
Yeah, it says, what are your respective hiring philosophies for employment? That is in the chat.
My general hiring philosophy is basically your soft skills and your hard skills. I think hard skills are important, but I oftentimes weigh the soft skills more. If there's somebody that I know is teachable, I'd rather hire them versus somebody who has all the hard skills, very, super smart, super skilled at what they're doing, but they could be a real jerk. I would not hire that person. I think hiring them based on culture is very important. I don't know what norm inclusion is. Maybe somebody can help me with that. But that would be my answer to the first question.
I agree. I mean, soft skills are very important, and the fact that the person should be able to fit in your organization, in the sense that, do they have what it takes to kind of like for me, I feel that, like they should be bilingual, because, or whatever is the requirement for your organization, and whether they would be able to fit inside the organization of being a chef or being a cashier or what. So soft skills are important, and plus the fact that you should be trainable and adaptability to the organization, because there would be something or the other which will go against you, but you should be able to hear that you should be adaptable in the team, because it's ultimately the team which is going to be the full picture of the organization. So I agree with Alex.
And I want to comment as well that I agree both with Alex and Charlie. When we hire in the companies, the various companies that I've worked at, we do look at the soft skills and the technical skills. Of course, technical skills you have to have but if the job calls for it, you need to. That's kind of like the baseline. And if your soft skills and how your communication skills and people skills can offset those technical skills if you if you meet only 80% of the requirement, right? Like if the job description has 10 things, you only need 8, but then you have a great personality, you're willing to learn, eager, adaptable, as Shelley mentioned, especially given the time now that during COVID, there's and then after COVID, now the sort of the financial dip that we've experienced with the interest crisis. So it's companies are cutting costs, and we've been having to do more with less, and move even faster, be more efficient and optimizing in all our processes and our day-to-day work that we do. So how do you find that balance? Like you definitely need the experience, the technical skills, but it's more the attitude and your soft skills that's gonna elevate you.
Thank you, guys. I had a question. Do you think it's necessary to obtain MBA to be successful in business career?
I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's really gives you a huge advantage.
I kind of agree there. I don't think it is necessary. I mean, of course, there are people who have not been in college and still been very, very successful in business, but I really feel it gives you a lot of insight into the business world through the various different sectors like marketing. I mean, the basics you get covered there. Like it does give you marketing, finance, sales, accounting, all those basics get covered in an MBA, which I don't think get covered in undergrad, because like you only in undergrad you're only doing one field, even brand management. So I think it does give you. I don't think it is necessary, but it does give you the skills, better skills.
My advice is you can find a job and go just work in it. If you feel that you have you need more the credentials, or if the role requires an MBA, then if some companies and some roles are they require that, or they highly value these credentials. Like in my field in accounting, if you have your CPA certification, you have an edge. I don't have it, but at the end of the day, experience is more important. I mean, it speaks for itself, right? But if you have the certification or the higher education, that's also advantage. You're more like an attractive candidate.
Yeah, I think the jury is still out on whether an MBA is necessary. I think I think all of us are in some space of business, right? And we've learned a lot of things in practice along the way. I think the part of the MBA I found beneficial, because I did my MBA later as an executive program, 2-year short program. I don't know how, if anybody did the 4-year program, how they did it while they were working. I don't know how you did it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I did the 3-year.
It was the hardest 2 years of my life. But I will say what the MBA did for me was it gave me a tangible confirmation, a structured confirmation of knowledge that I already had, right? It gave me structure, it gave me more skills. But I think in some ways, whether you are a self-learner or you're able to learn it on the job, I think those can really help. But I do agree that managerial skills, those are learned, but they can be developed in an environment too. Yeah.
Okay, and let's say somebody was in a whole different field, not in business, like maybe art or whatever. Do you think they'd have a hard time getting into business, like whether it's starting your own business or maybe applying to work at a corporation?
My kind of statement in what I shared was everything touches business, right? Even if you specialize in art, you got to sell it. You got to put food on the table. You got to know how to value your product, whatever that might be. Even if you're in a nonprofit, you still need to run the organization. Even if you're a church or a religious organization, you still need to look at your finances, right? Those are all very important things. So, I wholly believe whether you go into business, ownership, or whatnot, you should learn some aspect of business. Because I wish that when I was in high school, I took that accounting class, I took that econ class, that at least I have a general working knowledge of later on, and also balance your checkbook.
Yeah, kind of 100% agree. I really feel that the system for high school students, there should be financial 101, like or balancing your checkbook or making a budget. I mean, even talking about credit scores. Credit is so important in business because you need credit to you need money to make money. So those things should have some kind of idea. Like high school kids, they're young adults, and those things are not touched in schools at all. Like my high school kid, I mean, he's in bio, like he's doing his research in bio, but he wouldn't want to talk about these things. But I think if eventually he would need these things, right? So there should be some basic fundamentals which young adults should have, like writing a check or balancing your checkbook or having an account. All those basic ideas, like how do you open your first credit card? What's the difference between a credit and a debit card? Things like that.
And I know a lot of you have talked about putting in a lot of time, especially Frank and Shalene have talked about for being an entrepreneur. It takes a lot of time. So how do you find that work-life balance, especially for if you have kids?
Yeah, it's almost, I mean, depending on the size of the business that you're trying to start up, it's very difficult. So that's why there's such a sacrifice in opening a business from scratch, for example, that requires, you know, everything from how to get the equipment, and how to find the location of the building that you want. How big is that location? Is it 50,000 square feet? Is it 100,000 square feet? Do you have the budget? It's almost like, and then in the first 5 years, you pretty much have to assume that you're not going to be profitable. So there's just so many things that you have to do and you have to worry about. And so when you have a family, it's very, very difficult. You would have to let them know that you have something that is going to take up most of their time. It's not a 9 to 5 job. And so that's why there's a difference between somebody that's entrepreneurial versus somebody that's wants a balanced life, which is, go to work at 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 and not have to worry about on weekends if your business is or if the business that you're in charge of is crumbling. So I don't know what to say. It sounds pretty bad, but that's just the life when you start a business from scratch, an entrepreneur. Now, I'm not sure about if somebody joins forces and has partnerships, and then you could do it that way, and just as being an investor, kind of like a silent partner. That would be a little different, but that would be probably later in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Not from a high schooler thinking about making his own little product to start out. I would say I've had that question asked me many times. Whatever you think it's going to take as far as time and effort, just magnify it about 10 times, and that's about right.
Yeah. I kind of agree with Frank. So, I went into business because of my kids, but I could never expand. Meaning that I have one restaurant for the past 20 years, but if I need a second one, I'll have to work on weekends, right? Like I could have tried a second one, right? Like the reason why I'm only doing one business at a time is because I know I have my limitations. That if I have gone into business and I want to pick up my kids from school, I cannot have a lunch and a dinner place, right? Or a place which will be busy on the weekends. So you go into business with your limitations and you find your paths accordingly, because to be first generational in business, it is not a 9 to 5 job. You will face challenges every day. Like even if it's a small business like me, I face challenges at 8 p.m. The hood broke, right? Like, if there is no hood, we cannot work, or the water heater is not working. That means we have to close down, right? So it is a very, very difficult, but then you fine tune your schedule accordingly, whether you want to expand, not expand, all those things, all those questions, you answer them. Like if you, because if you are going to expand, that means there would not be any balance left, right? Or you would not have time for your family. So, and plus, of course, that one study income is very important. I could only do what I could do being first generational immigrant was only because my husband supported me through and through, right? There was always food on the table. So I could take risk, but it is a risky, business is risky. It is not going to be even all the way. Like Frank said, some days are awesome. Some days there is nothing, right? Like COVID hit, 2.5 months, there is, I had to shut down, right? But you evolve and you say, okay, now what else you do? But those are the challenges of being in business. It's not going to be same. It's not going to be constant.
I
So
have to, I have to say that eventually everything works itself out. Whenever you have a problem
right.
and you work at it, things get figured out. Okay.
Yep.
So it's not like it's, you give up and run away. You basically have to keep working on it, solving the problem. You're basically, as fires come up, you put them out on a day-to-day basis, week to week, month to month.
And that's what I told earlier to you, but you should be used to extinguishing those fires throughout your life, because that's how businesses work, right? Yeah.
And then eventually you get the holy grail, you get a big customer. Like in our case with the decorating company, we landed Palm Wonderful, the pomegranate juice that you see in the supermarkets.
Yes.
We wind up making 5 million bottles, or decorate 5 million bottles for them a month. And that was tremendous profits. And then at that time, for like 2.5 years, we were raking in like $500,000 of profit a month. And my partner and I, which were 50-50, we didn't know what to do with the money. We were cutting like checks that were $200,000 every 2 weeks. And then that's when people say, I want to get into business, but then they don't realize all the sacrifice that you had to do to get to that point. Which what I'm saying is that, and a lot of people never get to that point of being successful and making a ton of money. They fail along the way. And I just want to make sure the high schoolers that are thinking about getting into business, the odds are against you. Okay. It's just, but if you do go ahead and pursue it, there's always a huge reward on the other side, for a certain percentage of people. If I had to do it all over again, I probably wouldn't have been an entrepreneur. I can tell you that. If I knew what I know today, I would have never done it. Do you understand? Does that make any sense? It's kind of like I didn't know what I didn't know, and that's what's good about being young. You can't be, you're not really paralyzed by the analysis because you don't know what you don't know. So you just go ahead and you make it happen, or you don't make it happen. But now that I've gone through all that cycle, I wouldn't, I wouldn't have done it.
I want to tag along on that, Frank. NVIDIA, everybody knows them. Super valuations going on with the chips right now. That was exactly what he had also said. The CEO, he said, "Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. There's too many sacrifices. I've lost too much along the way in terms of my relationships. I wouldn't do it again." But they're entrepreneurs, business people, we're dreamers.
Yeah.
We're dreamers, and there's no limit to the sky, right? And that's the fun part. There's a lot of blood and sweat along the ways, and I think that's great for the 23 people that are still on. If you're not scared away by now, I think there's something there.
I would say I would still do it, even though after the analysis and paralysis, seeing so many things like going not my way. I mean, Indian selling tacos is the first question I get, but I would still do it because it is the challenge which keeps you going. It is the fact that, okay, I made it till the very end, right? So that's the beauty of it, that you can always say, hey, I did not give up. I think that was in it for me to kind of just keep going.
Or at least you could say that you tried it, right?
Yeah,
A lot of people
right.
don't even try.
Yeah.
And so I respect all entrepreneurs or people that have started their own businesses because at least they tried, you know.
A friend of mine, he graduated UCLA not business school, but undergrad econ in 3 years with honors. Went to USC for his accounting business master's, and he ended up at Ernst & Young, very prestigious tax firm.
Yep.
He worked there for about 6 years. And this is answering the earlier question is, sacrifices. And for him, and as high schoolers, it's hard to see this far in advance, but you'll eventually realize what are your non-negotiables. What are you not willing to sacrifice? Your families, your time, your children, right? When you have children, all of that, right? It got to a point for him, even though he was making very high 6, maybe 7 digits, he realized it wasn't worth it. And so he left that altogether. And he's in investing now, but he realized that he wanted to spend time with his family. And it's different for everybody, right? But I think that's something to consider, to look down the road and realize what are your non-negotiables, and and follow your career path that is able to support that. Like we talked about, we have at least, I think we all have great partners who support us in our dreams, right? And chase those dreams, chase those as far as you can, and keep going. That's what I say.
I would say try it out. You have only one life. So yeah, try, at least go try. What is the worst can happen? You will fail, yes, but don't fail because, what I'm trying to say is just do your due diligence and you will be able to know what you're getting into, and then just figure it out. So if it is your passion, you will make it.
Eileen, how's it been for you in trying to balance? I know you have cycles in accounting, but
I actually have a lot of support at home. So, my partner and also my parents, when my kids were younger, my parents helped a lot, helped me childcare until they went to preschool. So preschool age, 2.5. So I have a 15-year-old in Irvington High, and then 10, she's going to be 11 next month. Gosh. But I've been working from home the last few years. The industries are changing. Everybody has their own journey. You just need to have pride in your work. As mentioned, do your due diligence and your research. get involved in school, your clubs, and that's the first thing that you have exposure to, right? And aside from doing internships and shadowing, reference interviews, etc., it's, you know, I think whatever your path is, or that you will be taking, it's every day. I think everybody eventually goes through these milestones. It's just different times in their lives, I think. So it's you know, Alex and Frank said that business is hard, but I'm sure you guys have a lot of enrichment in your life, right? You've built something, you've created worthwhile achievements in your life. So I think, like I said, it's everybody's different. So go ahead and just you know, work hard, try different things, and don't be afraid of failure, but definitely you know, just do what you can and take pride in your work.
Does anybody have any other questions before we start wrapping? Well, we're going to be ending soon. This is my contact information. If you have any questions for our speakers after the fact, you can email me and I'll forward it to them. Our next career series venture is in journalism. It's going to be on Friday, April 26th, 6:30. And I will share that, send reminders to everybody. I want to say thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to everybody who came to participate. And I know there's always going to be people who couldn't make it because of some kind of students have a lot of different obligations, commitments after school, sports or whatever. And I'm sure they'll probably be asking about if there was a video or so. So thanks again, Frank. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Eileen. Thanks, Shalini, for spending time with us today. A lot of information you shared. And hopefully we can see you guys again soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yongpei.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.